movement, which some of us refer to as the international. This movement that we are talking about is ground up, so I'm not talking about state-led initiatives that do not struggle to receive media attention. What we struggle to receive media attention around is the hard work of activists who are working from the grassroots, without resources, without the institutional support, but who have carried this movement, which is an intergenerational and a transgenerational movement. So that is really what we are here to promote. And by hearing from our diverse speakers, you will hear different aspects of the movement. So I guess I would first like to introduce Prophet Kwaku on behalf of the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee. Prophet Kwaku, is a long-standing community activist, a Saturday School SEBA of Nubia Saturday School, and also co-chair of the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee with Sister Jendai Serwa. Thank you. Over to you, Prophet Kwaku.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Esther. Yeah, so there's 5 points to the March Committee and the Reparations March. And first and foremost, what I'd like to do is thank those that instigated the march in 2014, because there's a history behind everything, and we have to give thanks and praises for those that initiated it and the work that some people have moved down to the ancestors since that time. And reparatory justice is something that you have to take. So make no beans about this, This is not going to the government begging them nothing. We not beg them anything. We're making demands. You see, you have to have 100 years mentality in your head when you're dealing with reparations and reparatory justice. And so the 5 points is to draw attention to the African people's global determination to not let the British stay. Because if Britain likes to portray itself as a peaceful, these good-to-do people, these people that go around and they got humanitarian ideals and they go and they stop war, they supposedly stop wars, yeah, etc., etc. But Britain, greatness has come after the demise and destruction of other cultures and the stealing and capturing of other people's land. And by capturing other people's land, they capture their resources. So we now let them off. And we're going to remind them every year. Say, we will never forget. The other objective of this march is because we don't have a film of film footages of the destruction of our ancestors when they were kidnapping us in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th century. We don't have them films to put on television every single year. And so people can look and have compassion, yeah, and empathy for what we've gone through and still going through and continue to go through. So we're not letting them off. The second thing is to raise the consciousness about the fact that all attacks on us, both individual and collective instances, amount to genocide, ecocide, in Mangamizi, and the continuing necessity for reparations. I use the word Mangamizi, which is a Swahili word, which means a Holocaust, created by other people. I don't know, lightly na earthquake or thunder. These people came to our land, and we were hospitable to them when they came. And they had an alternative agenda. The third is to increase the awareness of the necessity to stop the Mangamizi and its current manifestation, such as austerity attempts to recolonize Africa, the Caribbean, menticide, deaths in police custody, psychiatric and prison custody. 4, to demonstrate African people's strength, capacity and determination to speak and to challenge establishment power with a growing grassroots power to effect secure reparation, reparatory justice on our own terms. That means we are going to define the terms and conditions of how we get reparatory justice. So for our people who think that we're looking to British government to determine our events, no. We're making demands, and we're very serious about it. And lastly, to showcase African people grassroots initiatives for reparations, because as Sister Esther said, this is a bottom-up situation. So we move around the country and we talk to the grassroots people, we talk to our people and ask our people opinions. We need to know what your experience is in the reparations situation. So your experience is vital to the move and the growing inspiration of this movement. That's it.
Thank you, Prophet Kwaku. And if we move quickly on, and let's be mindful that we have very limited time, so I'd now like to introduce Elder Cecil Gutsmore, who is also a long-standing community activist, lecturer and author. He is involved in many political causes and campaigns, including Mumia Abu Jamal, Tivoli Gardens, the Marikana Massacre, Haiti First, Haiti Now, Reparations campaign, which he founded, and he's also a member of the Pan-African Society Community Forum.
Thank you, my sister. Let me say that I'm not surprised there's no white British press here. They only come when there's disaster and when there's murder and mayhem. And on all of the ones that I've ever been involved in, press conferences, they've never been there. They came to one, Haiti First, because there was earthquake and they wanted to hear about that. So, them not there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The mics, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I accepted the invitation to be on this platform with pleasure, in large measure because it came from our esteemed sister Esther. I see that I'm down as representing the Caribbean reparatory justice movement, and I'm happy to be associated with that, with a qualification. Formally, Caribbean reparations movement is now been cornered in a way by CARICOM, the states and the civil society acting in tandem. And they have an initiative, they have a 10-point program or plan, they have a firm of international expensive lawyers briefed in London in tow, and so on. I don't speak for any of that. I am part of the political opposition to that, because I do not believe that that CARICOM and those states are part of the solution. I think they're part of the problem. The problem is that we as a people are seriously and increasingly seriously oppressed. That's a problem. And the solution is finding, the Marxists call it a praxis, finding a method of liberating ourselves, of uniting ourselves, and of putting ourselves in the position not just to demand, because you can demand till kingdom come and then the move. You've got to be able to enforce reparations. And only when we are empowered to do so will we get it. That is not to say we don't make a politics around it now. But until we have empowered ourselves, that is to say, liberated ourselves as a global community, united ourselves as a global community, that's what will empower us to take it from them, which is what we need to do. Now, having said that, CARICOM, I speak as an African Caribbean man, which means that I come from a region that has been central to white supremacist exploitation of African people. And in fact, not just we. The first genocide in the Americas weren't conducted against Africans, they were conducted against Native Americans in a place called Haiti, where the population could have been as much as 3 million. None of them people are there again, right? Because they were wiped out. Those people and their few survivors, there are many more of them on the mainland of the Americas, those people deserve reparations. They have to make their argument, and in fact they're beginning to make that argument very sharply and coherently. I know one or two Native American organizers in London, and they are very good presenters of their case. Other people in the Caribbean, East Indians, also have a case. But we Africans, I'm running out of time, now let's concentrate on we. We have been the victim of the worst, there's no comparison, the worst genocide, manganese, ever imposed on any people. Be in no doubt about that. And it follows that we are morally and legally entitled to reparations, and I've already stated the basis on which I believe that we must get it. In the Caribbean, it cannot be done by the governments. They are part of the problem. It can't be done by civil society people neither. It has to be done by the masses organizing for liberation and unification. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Professor Gatsmore. So our movement is broad, it's diverse, and it's very spacious. So we now are going to hear from Elder Chief Benny Wenda, who is a West Papuan independence leader, international spokesman for the United Liberation Movement for West Papua, and founder of the Free West Papua campaign. He lives in exile here in the UK. In 2003, he was granted political asylum by the British government following his escape from custody while on trial in West Papua. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity for me to speak. Before, I just want to say wah, 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 wah. That's a traditional language. And I bring this message to you to join this press conference. It's very important because reparation is a part of the campaign global movement. So this movement and this global campaign is not only in Africa, Caribbean, but West Papua is an island of the New Guinea. The people are fighting for the independence. Indonesia committed genocide. People talking about end of the slavery, colonialism, but West Papua will still continue to fight for the justice and freedom. And in fact, that 500,000 men and women has been killed by Indonesian military. And this is the genocide, we call it genocide, the happening in right now in West Papua. West Papua are black people. They are first people that left the African continent 15,000 years. This is you're talking about your ancestor. So now they are fighting the colonialism in West Papua. So I'm glad that reparation campaign bring West Papua on board. I think this is something that to join the common struggle, because West Papua, we don't have any media to expose what happening, what going on, because in fact that today some of the mainstream media not here. It's same thing what happened in West Papua. West Papua is isolated in this planet. 50 years people of West Papua fighting for the independence, but today I'm bringing the message to this platform to join hand in hand to liberate ourselves from the colonialism, imperialism, and global power. So I think we need to unite it, one spirit from the Caribbean, Africa, to New Guinea, and in the Pacific. So I think this is one of the common struggle. And so we need to unite it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving swiftly on, we shall now hear from Sister Juliet Ryan Nee Lopez. She's the co-founder of the BOP Collective, a prolific campaigner, most known for her campaigning work as part of the Free West Papua campaign. She also co-founded a homeless project through the Working Action Group. Sister Juliet coordinates the London outreach team on behalf of the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee, and she also wrote a reparations anthem that is being distributed by VP Records, released this summer to raise funds and awareness of the African Emancipation Day Reparations March. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for coming, firstly. Working Action Group has been working very heavily with regards to the African Emancipation Day Reparations March since Esther actually came and gave us a masterclass. And one of the things that I want to talk about is the educational aspect of the African, if you like, knowledge base of what is behind reparations and reparations march, and also the importance of sharing that information throughout outreach. So basically, the first pillar that we had and we learned from Esther was about the background, which I think everybody ought to learn and to understand. Getting involved with outreach, getting involved with volunteering, getting involved with participating in the march is crucial, and people power. The reason why we're sitting in this room today is because of people power, because people put their hands in their pockets in order to support a Just Giving campaign, and that Just Giving campaign was to widen the international awareness about the African Emancipation Reparations Day March, and I think that's really crucial. So I just like to say to everybody, it's about widening the information. So everybody that's capturing information today, it's really vital that we share it far and wide globally, and that's what I'd like to say. And also that education will be our emancipation, our true emancipation. So we must move forward with education and book these power classes through Esther throughout the year, so that we can keep learning to be experts, if you like, about reparations and reparatory justice, legal and political reform. And I just would like to say thank you to Esther for spearheading a lot of this and motivating us when she came to the Working Action Group meeting, because she inspired us. And so we'd like you to continue the inspirational work, and on behalf of the Working Action Group, we applaud the whole of the committee, and we'd just like to thank you for allowing us to be involved, and to say the outreach team is expanding and everybody can get involved. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, just 2 more to go. We're now going to hear from Sister Toya RBG. She's a community activist dedicated to the purpose of being in service to the global African family, our community and our race. A reparations campaigner, Sister Toya currently serves as Secretary of the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee and co-facilitates the youth wing of Momentum Black Connections. Toya is also one of the foot soldiers collecting signatures for the Stop the Mangamizi, We Charge Genocide Ecocide petition towards establishing an all-party parliamentary commission of inquiry for truth and reparatory justice.
Greetings everyone. I'm going to be more speaking about the youth perspective and how past youth involvement has developed into present day. So as a young person of African descent in today's climate, not knowing who we are or where we're coming from, we know that something's not quite right. For example, we see the ignorance, we see the police brutality and other effects of the African Holocaust, the continuum of the African Holocaust, which is the Mangamizi. If you're aware of that term, you've probably heard it a few times. So it's up to us to confront our issues, and that's the stance I took. And after attending the march on the 2014, that ignited a fire in me, and which led to this place as I am now. So ultimately, the youth are the future, so it's paramount that we invest our teachings and our experience with them to guarantee concrete benefits and ensure an advancement in all aspects to sustain our communities globally and for our children yet to come. And this cannot be about individuals, but extending our sight from the individual to community level, to regional, national and international scales, creating what Malcolm X called a power base, reconnecting and repairing what was severed, reinstalling self-worth, value and equality and purpose for young people today. So this is an alarm. We see the ongoing protests and demonstrations that's now harnessing the youth today, like we see the Black Lives Matter protests. We saw the success of the Roads Must Fall in South Africa. We had the Oxford, Roads Must Fall Oxford, still fighting for Cecil Rhodes' statue to be held down. So there's a nice energy around the youth today. Doing nothing will result in insulting the sacred memories and resilience that our ancestors gave, their private sacrifices. And if it wasn't for the strength they endured, we would not be here today. So who are we to sit back and relax? So I just moved on. Sorry. For example, we had young MZ Mohammed recently killed in police custody in Liverpool. He was only 18 years old, and Tamir Rice was only 12. Sorry, bear with me. So what should we do as a people? We should practice what Antonetta Carla Santana called popular democratic self-reorganization for total African liberation. And she said this on behalf of the interim organising committee of the All African Students Union in Europe, a paper presented at the 1993 Birmingham Working Conference of the African Reparations movement in the UK. And she also says to enhance among the masses of Africans from the continent and diaspora clear self-awareness, deepening an understanding of their own situation, actively participating in working out effective solutions to the problems confronting African communities across the world, and create a new breed of progressive intelligentsia of African liberation and change. The same group, the All African Students Union in Europe back in 1933, proposed the following, which was creating a global program for African self-repairs designed for us, by us, which is what the March is doing and what I do a lot with the youth as well. Developing a curriculum of African infusion, universal truth and democratization of education, and building an independent African educational primary and secondary school. So just to round up, sorry, time's running out. So what can the African Reparations Day, what can the African Emancipation Day Reparations March do for the youth? So it can plant seeds of advocacy, raise awareness, educate by highlighting contemporary effects of the Malcolm-Easy, implement long-term strategies that will lead to repair the mind of the youth, communities in our relationships, sovereignty, nationhood, self-governance, and a right to autonomy, economic and resource control, intersectionality, and even an African currency.
Okay, thank you. We allowed you had youth privilege, so we allowed you a little bit more time. Okay, last but not least, we're going to hear from Brother Delani, who is the Head of Media for the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee, and he's going to speak to us about building grassroots support and countering the negative narrative against the march. He's also a businessman.
Greetings. I greet you in the honorable spirit of our great and mighty African ancestors. I am the media officer for the African Emancipation Day Reparations March Committee. Part of my role is to provide practical resources and support for the outreach team that goes out every week in different parts of our community across London, with handing out petition, getting signature signed, and so all of the media activities, I'm pretty much giving my support on that, producing stuff for the media and for the team to carry out. Also working with local radio stations, always engaging in the constant discussion surrounding Reparation March, its validity, its importance, and working to always countering or providing a proper perspective about what the march is about. Because there is this narrative about the march that is in people's imagination, that is not in the reality and the remit of what the march purpose and aim is. And we have to emphasize that the march is not the movement. The march is a part of our struggle as African people to be heard. It's a part of our struggle to make demands for generations to come to take off where we left off. Okay, so that is one of my role, is to constantly engage in our community about what the march is about and our aim, and also to engage in fundraising, and also to engage in building support, because we can criticize the mainstream media for not covering the march, but we have no excuse as African people for not covering our own events. So I hold all our African media outlets, we have to hold them accountable to represent our people, because all our ancestors were in bondage. All our ancestors were done harm and inflict great atrocities. So it's up to us, it's our responsibility as our ancestors today to represent us. So I come with that practical support, the practical building on the ground, working with the grassroots to build support for the march. And that's the perspective that I'm on this table representing.
Okay, any questions? Now is your golden opportunity to find out more. We do have probably about 15 minutes.
How many people are you expecting this time for the march?
Okay, how many people are we expecting? I'll direct that to Prophet Kwaku.
Well, There'll be millions of ancestors with us, Margie.
Okay. If you can state your name when you're speaking, answering your question at the back, please.
Yes, it's Michael Masser from the Press Association. I wanted to ask about the petition initiative, and had that been gathering pace over the past year?
Absolutely. I'm going to let Sister Juliet and possibly Sister Toya answer that question.
Absolutely, yes, it has. I can say that we have been to over 40 destinations, including different events from Birmingham to Stratford. We've been collecting on average of 100 signatories at each location that we've been to, including when we was at Ridley Road, which was the first place we actually started, which was in Dalston in East London. And the reaction from people was quite amazing, and the speed at which they signed the petition was amazing. And even when we was at Walthamstow Market, when we were in South London, at Brixton, all different locations, the reaction from just passers-by is so infusing and so encouraging. You know, they are really supporting us. And in fact, the Just Giving campaign that funded this event, in fact, was supported, you know, by 50 supporters, and obviously sponsored by TCTK Media, and also Sister Eve has been excellent in supporting this event. So yeah, we've got some major supporters and lots of signatories up and down the country. We were at ALD, we've been at different events. You know, I'm going to hand over now because I'm probably going over time. Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to support what Sister Juliet says, yeah, we've just been going out, getting as much signatures as possible. So we just advise everyone, please go on the Stop the Mang Gamizi website and to share the petition on all media platforms, and contacts, emails, WhatsApp, text messages, please get it round. The quicker we get it round, the quicker the numbers will raise. So everyone has to take responsibility.
Thank you. And it's important to state there is an online petition, so don't look at the figures on the online one, because actually we have teams going out mobilising. But even with the online petition, we've had people sign from 24 countries, so the pace is building up. Before we come back to you, brother, yes.
Naz Tararam from Black Guys TV7. I have two questions. One's short, one's a little bit long. The first one was, for a situation as significant as this, why do you feel there's been such a lack of main media coverage?
Okay, and that's the first one?
That's the first.
Yes.
Second one is for West Papua, and I'm saying it in this particular way in order to add for the viewership some extra information. So the Dutch who colonized West Papua were strong-armed by the Kennedy administration to cede West Papua into Indonesian control around the 1950s in order to keep Indonesia on their side during the Cold War. Since the colonization included the invasion and subjugation of the indigenous peoples, under what legal precedent did America and the Dutch have in order to proceed with such an action? And what legal claim does Indonesia have in order to keep possession of West Papuan land and inhabitants, since a vote of integration under the Act of Free Choice was held at gunpoint?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Yes, Indonesia holding West Papua. Why the West interest on West Papua, particularly America, Dutch and Indonesia, because of our resources. That's the first. A second argument, Indonesia holding West Papua because of the rest of the Dutch, New Guinea, Dutch colony, is including West Papua as automatic theirs. And when the Dutch actually give the independence in 1960, and they formed the parliament, but the Indonesia claimed that this is our territory. And Indonesia play very clever game that if West did not give West Papua to us, we will join Cold War. And that's why it is one of the sacrifice, our right to self-determination by the big power. So first is they want our resources, because West Papua is in the world, richest in the planet, in this black people islands, and this is the second biggest gold mine in the world, and owned by Freeport Rio Tinto, and also British. So this is from the Caribbean, Africa, went down to the Pacific. So that's they only interest our resources, not black people like us.
Okay, thank you. And the media question, Prophet Kwaku,
Yeah,
why there's not more mainstream media attention.
Right, I'm going to flip the script. Because the mainstream media is here. Yeah, you are our mainstream.
That's right.
Yeah. You are our main supporters. I think that what we have to start defining what is the mainstream media. You're talking about the alternative media? No, them not here. Yeah. And what I would say to your enemy is not going to train you to defeat them. Just remember that. Your enemy is not going to educate you to defeat them. They train you to serve them. You follow what I'm saying? So it doesn't serve their purpose to come here and put us on ITV4, not even RT there. I think all RT were there. Al Jazeera, none of them not there.
Press TV.
And like what my elders say, Press TV, like what my elders say, they only want to film us when we mash up. Yeah, look how we look, Chris. They don't want to film it. You understand me I say? So you are the mainstream media, because you see the virtual world now, the internet and all them things, they see when they start tweet and all them something there and send it all about the place, it go further than the mainstream media. So you are the mainstream media. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Can I add to that?
Thank you. Sister Juliet?
Sorry. Yesterday I personally went to Channel 4, I went to ITN personally, and spoke to media planners and gave information and invited several people from Ronke Phillips to Reggie Omar, spoke to Anthea Lee, also Valley Fontaine. So I spoke to them personally. So the black people, and I commend you, my brother, from the Press Association for being here, and I thank you for being here, because you heard the call. So in saying that, we have had some support from BBC Radio on Sunday, in fact, and Esther will be on BBC Radio this Sunday, and also Adebayo show as well. So what we're looking for, though, is mainstream press, but we can't do without you. So if you write letters, complain, make phone calls, then we can take action, but we can't do it without you. So it's got to be something where we push this, we make this go viral, so that things can happen. So we can't do it without you. We are one.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yes, if you state your name, please, sister.
My name's Merlin Thomas. I just wanted to ask, first of all, what type of, you were saying that people could assist and volunteer their services. What type of services would you like people to assist with?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask Brother Delani to answer that question.
Yes, we need any skills you have is needed on this march. In preparation for the march, we need first aiders, we need stewards, we need security personnel, we need people to provide food and watering for our people on the day of the march as well. We need people to have information gathering on the march, on the day of the march, to gather as much contacts as possible. We need people to help with the signatures, collecting signatures. These are practical work. Also to put up posters, to distribute flyers. So those are some of the practical things that we need. If you're good at media, we need your help as well to get the message out into the media. If you're prolific on Facebook and all the other social media, those things will be helpful as well. So those are some of the areas that you can help in. Anyone in the community can step forward and provide their support.
But more than that, we are working through different networks and organisations that are part of the march organising process to actually ensure that there is space, as there was last year, for African perspectives from the continent. So last year we had representatives from the economic freedom fighters of Asania, the Biafra struggle, the Ngoni struggle, and many more. And this year we will also have similar struggles represented, including the Herero. Also, we have 9 organising blocks for the march, and one of those organising blocks is the Global African Family Block, which will have representatives of the movement outside of Europe, outside of the so-called Americas, and in fact representing our African family. Okay, so time is out, so I'm going to give the final comment to Prophet Kwaku.
Yeah, we are in constant communication with our brothers and sisters internationally, and especially on the continent. So we're directly involved. But I want to send a message out to our people of the importance of why you should turn up to this march. Because we are living in the present, and in the present we have certain privileges, certain autonomies that people made sacrifices so that we could have it. Look, we're in a pretty hotel. You there one time, come in here. But people made sacrifices so we could have those liberties today. Then people never have them liberties themselves. They made sacrifices. So I don't want to hear nobody tell me about them job, yeah, or anything like that. I know you have your bills for pay and all them something there. Do a sickie if need be, yeah. But the importance of this is to show the umoja, the unity that we could achieve if we but think similar. We don't have to think the same. We just need to think similar and recognize that it could be you that they kill. It could be you the police strangle. You could be Cynthia Jarrett. You could be Cherry Groves. You could be Sean Riggs. Yeah? You could be Mark Godagan. Them don't discriminate whether male or female that they assassinate. You could be those people. It could be you. Because the one thing that you cannot hide when you become a chairman of a big company or a director or one of these big conglomerate companies that you work for, you can't change. You'll be black tomorrow. You are black today, you're black when you're born, and you're going to be black when you're dead. Yeah? So you can't change you. So as an African, it is your duty to carve out a future for your children there out there.
Okay, thank you. Okay, okay, yeah.
I just
have to wrap
I just
up.
want to thank the group of individual organizations that make up the African Emancipation Day Reparation March Committee. We've worked diligently over the year. From the second week after the march last year, we were working on it, meeting every single week for a year. It hasn't been easy. We haven't agreed on a lot of things. But I just want to thank those organizations. I want to thank PARCO. I want to thank ADE. I want to thank the Nyabinga Ada. I want to thank the Bobodem. I want to thank One Name, yeah, and Nubia, and the John Lynch Education. I want to thank all these, and the 12 tribes as well. Because we've worked very, very hard to get here, and it ain't been easy.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry, we do have to vacate the building. Thank you for coming today. Do have a safe journey home. So, I just want to read a couple of lines from Professor Chimwezu, who says, more important than any monies to be received, and more fundamental than any lands to be recovered, is the opportunity the Reparations campaign offers us for the rehabilitation of black people, by black people, for black people. Opportunities for the rehabilitation of our minds, our material condition, our collective reputation, our cultures, our memories, our self-respect, our religious and political traditions, and our family institutions, but first and foremost for the rehabilitation of our minds. The most important part of reparation is our self-repair. The change it will bring about in our understanding of our history, of ourselves, and of our destiny. The change it will bring about in our place in the world. So we leave you with the words of Professor Chimwezu, and we'd like to offer some thank yous.
I would just like to say thank you to all media companies that are here. Could you just shout out your names so I can say thank you? Black Eyes TV, thank you. Galaxy Radio, thank you.
Street News TV.
Street News TV, thank you. HMP TV, thank you. Kush TV, thank you.
LCP TV.
LCP TV, thank you.
And Galaxy Radio.
And Galaxy Radio, thank you. Press Association, thank you.
Don't thank them either, they'll never send me.
We don't want to thank them then. Oh, I thank you, brother. What's your name, please? Thank you. Oh, hi, Mikey. Long time. Sorry. I'd just like to say thank you. I'd like to say thank you to TCK Media, who have done all of the media today. That's Mr. P over there. DJ Mr. T, as you all know him. I'd like to say thank you to Sister Eve across there, who has helped with the organisation and also helped with the fundraising and also the advertising in all of the press, and help with the media campaign. Thank you very much, Sister Eve. I'd like to thank all of the Working Action Group because if it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Okay, and I would also like to thank our esteemed panel, Sister Toya, Sister Juliet, Elder Chief Abeni Wenda, Prophet Kwaku, Elder Cecil Gutsmore, and Brother Delani. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.